Hello and welcome to the Cloud Expert channel. So today I'm going to give you some tips on how to pass the AWS Cloud Practitioner in just 7 days. Okay, so I would want to assume that you're committed to this challenge and you will be consistent until the day of the exam. Okay, so the first thing that you need to know is to understand the exam guide. Which areas are you going to be asked? Which areas is the exam focusing on? This will help you as you prepare for this exam. So the first thing, you need to know the areas. So there are 4 domains according to this guide. The first domain is the cloud concept that has 24% of the total of the score content. Domain 2, security and compliance, 30%. Domain 3, cloud technology and services, 34%. Domain 4, billing, pricing and support, that's 12%. So as you can see from these domains, the weights they are different. And this is an indicator of areas that you would need to focus more on as you prepare for the exam. As you can see that the cloud technology and services is 34%. And security and compliance 30%. So this shows that these areas, they are quite critical. Okay, so for the cloud concept, the main things that you need to focus on, the tasks are highlighted there. So we have about 4 tasks that you need to focus on. Define the benefits of AWS Cloud. The second task, identify design principles of AWS Cloud. And the third task, understand the benefit of and strategies of migrating to AWS Cloud. And the last, understand concept of cloud economics. So these are these topics, they are covered in the first domain. And then the second domain, security and compliance, understand the AWS shared responsibility model. And then the next task will be understand AWS cloud security, governance, and compliance concepts. The third task, identify AWS access management capabilities. The fourth task, identify components and resources for security. So these are areas that you need to focus on. And then for the fourth task, we have identify components and resources for security. So if you are to focus when you are preparing under the security and compliance, you need to be able to tick off all of these requirements. If you have to be knowledgeable in all of these areas pertaining to when you prepare for your exam. And then we have the cloud technology and services. That's the third domain. As we saw from the weight, this domain has 30%. So that will mean that you need to really focus more on this section. It includes define methods of deploying and operating in the AWS cloud, define the AWS global infrastructure, identify AWS compute services, identify AWS data services, identify AWS network services, identify AWS storage services, identify AWS artificial intelligence and machine learning services and analytics services. Then identify services from other in-scope AWS services categories. And then the last domain, billing, pricing, and support. Compare AWS pricing models, understand resources for billing, budget, and cost management. Identify AWS technical resources and AWS support options. Okay, so these are the main domains that you need to focus on. So once you know the exam guide, you know the domains, you know the areas that you need to focus on, and you know the critical areas where the exam will really focus on. Now it's time for you to prepare the schedule. Now you can make a schedule on how you will carry out your study plan. This is very important. So having a study schedule to stay organized and manage time effectively and cover all exam objectives is very critical. A well-planned schedule reduces stress, ensures comprehensive coverage, and facilitates better retention of information. So now that you know the exam objective, now you can start to make a roadmap for your study plan covering the key topics that will be assessed. Divide the exam objectives into smaller manageable topics. This approach helps prevent feeling overwhelmed and allows to focus more on the critical components of the exam. So break down the topics, and then it will aid you to identify areas that need more attention so that you know how to allocate your time. As you saw, for example, the billing and support, it has about 12% of the exam weight. So you wouldn't want to spend much of your time on that as opposed to the other domain that has more weight. Okay, so allocate specific time slots for studying each topic, and then also be realistic about the time needed to understand each concept. So depending on your schedule, you decide the amount of time that you'd allocate for each section. When I prepared for my exam, I wasn't working at that time, so I had a lot of time to prepare for the exam. Maybe in a day, three hours to read and practice. So depending on your schedule, the time that you take to prepare for the exam can vary. Okay, so the next tip is you need to incorporate the theory and the hands-on. So now you have to incorporate the theory and the hands-on practice as you read. So personally, when I was studying, I just used the material that was provided from the AWS Skills Builder. That's the information that I just used. But there is a lot of material available on AWS Cloud Services. There's a lot of documentation, white papers that you can use if you want to really enhance your understanding on certain topics. So how to use the hands-on, so you can use the AWS free account. They provide you a set of free limited resources for 12 months that you can use. So these hands-on tutorials, they will help you while you get the theory, for example, on how to create user accounts, and then you'll be able to do the hands-on practice. That will really help to contribute to muscle memory, and it will deepen your understanding of the AWS cloud environment. So creating practical scenarios that simulate real-world situations can really help you to deepen your understanding, because the questions, they will not be asking like direct questions like what is AWS cloud, but they'll be asking you questions, for example, how will you be able to control the budget? How do you set budgets for an account? So if you had done that in the practice session, you really know the cost management and how you go about it. So that will really help you as you prepare for the exam. So remember to incorporate the hands-on practice in your study. Okay, so the last tip would be utilize practice exam questions. So after reading and doing the practical, now you need to test the knowledge, how far you have grasped the concept. So due to that, you need some practice exam questions that will help you. So this is why I dedicate some of my time gathering some questions so that I can provide you with some free practical questions that you would need to prepare yourself for the exam. So this is what you need to be ready in 7 days. So for creating a detailed schedule, check the following video. I'll just create a detailed schedule on how you can be able to schedule your time, allocate time for different sections so that you can be ready within 7 days and then you'll be able to write your exam. Thank you so much for listening to this video. Please remember to subscribe, like, and comment. Can you share with me some of your strategies that you're using to prepare, or some strategies that you use to prepare for the Cloud Practitioner exam? I'll be waiting